While I was planning this video, a lot of the stuff I was getting down sounded kind of cold and unempathetic, and I just wanted to say right off the bat that that's not my intention at all. I've been single for 4 years now, / forever, depending on my mood. I wouldn't really count anything that I've been involved in as a real relationship, but it also doesn't feel right to say that I've never been in one, because I've had like the kids version, like the happy meal version of a relationship, except not happy, the unhappy meal. Essentially, it could be argued that I've been single forever, so I understand the whole wanting a relationship thing. But here's what I've found. Being single should not be making you unhappy. The times that I've been upset about not having a relationship, it's been for one of two reasons. The first being loneliness. I think being single is a really great scapegoat for loneliness. It's very easy to point at the fact that you're not in a relationship and go, yes, this is why I feel alone. But what I realized is that loneliness comes from a lack of fulfilling relationships in every area of your life, not just romantically. I realized that I didn't have any close friends or family members or a healthy social life, and that was why I felt alone. Obviously, not because I didn't have a boyfriend. Now that I'm working on those things, being single doesn't really occur to me that often. Yeah, a relationship could make you feel less lonely and more happy and more loved, but there are so many other ways to feel that way that don't involve being in a relationship, and I think that those things are healthier to focus on. I put a lot of weight into my platonic relationships. They are very important to me, and I think that's a nice way to live. Culturally, romantic relationships are placed very high up compared with platonic relationships, which I just think is wrong. Platonic relationships can be just as fulfilling as romantic ones, maybe in different ways, but equally as fulfilling. Yes? Good. The other reason I was getting sad about being single, besides loneliness, was low self-esteem. Nobody loves me. I must be ugly. Maybe it's the way I dress. Maybe it's my entire personality. Relationships do sound very validating when they're healthy. I'm sure it must be great for your self-esteem to have someone around who you know likes you and wants you around and doesn't think you're ugly. Must be nice. But again, whilst a relationship could give you that validation, there are so many other avenues for it. You can find self-worth in close friendships, or your work, or your grades, or your art. There are so many ways to feel good about yourself that don't involve being in a relationship at all. I think if you are unhappy out of a relationship, you're gonna be unhappy in one. Being single isn't an inherently sad or painful or lonely thing. When you do feel alone and you feel bad about yourself, it's easy to blame that on being single because it's one solid, contained reason that you can focus your energy on. And also, you know, romance is like overhyped in media and all that. We all know this. But yeah, it's a simple solution and it makes sense and it's easy to cling on to and decide that that's the cause of all your problems, but it's almost always more complicated than that. I think it's a good idea to look into yourself and your existing relationships and your hobbies and the things you're spending time on and the people you're spending time with, and try and figure out what's going wrong in those and how they can be making you happier, rather than hoping to find a relationship and have all your problems miraculously go away, because that won't work. It's like Febrezing a dirty room. Like, just clean the room, surely. I'm happy being single. There are times that I'm bitter about it. It happens to the best of us, but I really value knowing who I am on my own and knowing that I can be happy on my own and not being obligated to anyone. If there was someone I liked and they liked me, I wouldn't say no to a relationship. I'm not like determined to be single. I actually think, weirdly enough, the more okay I feel being on my own, the more like emotionally equipped I feel to be in a relationship. I just feel better in myself just generally, and I think I'd be going into it with a much healthier mindset and set of expectations. Anyway, there was also a long period of time where I considered it like really weak to want a relationship. I've been told that when I notice something I don't like about myself, I overcorrect and go really far in the other direction, and I think this is a good example of that. I saw myself being really mopey that I was single and that I didn't have close friends, and then went right in the other direction and just decided that if you couldn't be completely happy on your own without any influence or help from anybody else, then you were weak and dependent and it was all over for you. And there is definitely a middle ground. It's a completely like normal, healthy human thing to want love, as long as you don't want it to the extent that you feel like you can't be happy without it. Essentially, my point is, the way I have learned to be happy single is finding other avenues of self-worth and fulfillment, and the more I've done that, the less essential relationships have felt to me. This all being said, Valentine's Day is coming up, so if someone could just ask me out, that would be great.